Today, we are going to learn about email automation flows. I'm going to be talking about what they are, why they're beneficial, and the three that you really need to implement first to help grow your business. To get started, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Ariana. I am the founder of Valley Creative Consulting. In my spare time, I enjoy painting, cooking and eating good food, and hanging out with my pets. I began my journey as a marketer back in 2013, and I actually started in email marketing. I began email marketing for a local interior design firm, and from there, continued in email marketing for a couple more years. So this is really where I got my sea legs. if Oh, I just saw a comment. I'm sorry I missed most of what you just said. Can everyone hear me all right? Is the audio good or as good as it can be? Okay, cool. Thanks,
Mhm.
guys. And as for timing, this is going to be roughly 45 minutes. If you need to hop off at any point, please, that's fine. And I will be following up with folks who attend to send the worksheet that I've put together. So if you would like that and you're not yet on my email list, go sign up for that or drop your email in the comments here. So, all right, guys, I'm going to continue on now. So as I just said, I kind of got my marketer sea legs in email marketing back in 2013. And email is truly one of my favorite forms of marketing. It sometimes gets a bad rap because people don't utilize it properly or they get a little bit spammy in the way that they do it. And that is not at all how I tell my clients to utilize email marketing. So, what is it? Simply, email marketing is another channel to communicate with your audience and clientele. The average person requires 8 or more touch points before making a purchase. And so, email is a really incredible way to get those touch points in front of them so that they can take the action you want them to take. Email is also great because folks have to opt in to your email list. In order to be compliant with CAN-SPAM and the various laws, people must confirm that they want to get marketing messages from you. And that means that if they're on your email list, they want to hear from you. And so qualified leads means more engagement, and that means more revenue. Email's great to use to disseminate information and content and promotions to those who have agreed to receive marketing messages from you. And the key to a strong email marketing strategy is to make sure that you're not solely promoting to people. You want each email to have value. And a great way to have value is to remember the 3 E's: entertainment, empathy, and education. So, in each email that you send to your audience, even if the goal is to get them to take an action, such as buying a product or service that you offer, prior to that call to action, you want to share a story or offer some educational content that is tied to your offer so that the email doesn't feel spammy. No one wants to be marketed to. And so if you utilize those 3 things, entertainment, empathy, and education, people will be more engaged with you, and your open rates and your click-through rates will continue to grow the more that you contact your list. And before we get into the automation aspect, email marketing is really important for your business because it's effective. Email has the highest return on investment higher than any other marketing channel, which is hard to believe, but it actually has an ROI of $36 for every $1 spent on a lead. So what that means is if you paid for advertising and then people came to your website and signed up for your email list, for every dollar that you spent, you would get $36 from them in return in the amount that they would spend with your business. And email helps build relationships. So if you're familiar with me in Valley Creative Consulting, I am all about relationship marketing. I believe that people, as I mentioned before, don't want to be sold to. They want to form connections with the people behind the brands, and they want to know the meaning behind what they're putting their hard-earned dollars towards. So email is a great place to storytell. If you remember the old serialized magazine stories that used to come out where they would release a chapter each week, email can be utilized in a similar fashion to help tell the story of your business, your ethos, and the information that you want people to deeply understand about your business that may not fit on your website or within your social media, because email does allow for that longer form content. And email, as I mentioned, is also a captive audience. Since they have already told you that they are interested in what you have to say, it's a really great way to share more information beyond what you may be sharing to attract leads. And email lists, another thing you can do is add a little bit of exclusivity. People love feeling important, and they love feeling like they're getting something that someone else isn't. So by having special events or exclusive content or a newsletter that has information that isn't being shared directly anywhere else is a great way to add value to your email campaigns. And now the reason you're all here is to talk about automations. At this point, are there any questions on everything that I just ran through? Because I know I gave a lot of information all at once.
Can I ask a question?
Sure thing.
This is Scott.
Hi, Scott.
Can you, I think you've given a definition, if you will, of just the empathy in your ease, like the education and the entertainment piece. They're pretty straightforward, but can you be a little more definitive about what empathy and like how that's a value that can come across in email?
Oh, absolutely. So empathy, it means you understand where another human being is in their life, and you understand their feelings and sentiments. And in marketing, too often folks don't consider the people on the other end of their marketing messages, and they don't deeply understand who they're talking to. So when you infuse empathy into your email marketing messages, what that means is you are sending people information that's relevant to them and information that is beneficial to them at the right time. Because all of the content that you're sharing with them, even if it's marketing sales content, like even if the point is for them to click on a button and buy something that you are offering, as long as the messaging around that offer treats them like a human being and recognizes the fact that, maybe they have an issue that your product solves for them, or even acknowledging the fact that perhaps this isn't the right offer for them, and that's okay. doing things like that and infusing that kind of messaging into your email marketing allows them to see that you are treating them as a person and that you're not just sending them random things hoping to take their money as a money grab.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions before I keep rolling? All right, we're gonna have more time for questions at the end as well. So I'm gonna dive into the automation aspect of email now. So you understand the general basis of email marketing, and a lot of the times the way most people utilize it is either through a newsletter or sending off one-off emails to the list of names that they have. However, we are small business owners, and a lot of us are solopreneurs, which means we manage everything soup to nuts for our business, and we cannot do everything at once. And so being able to incorporate automations into your marketing plan allows it to run in the background of your business and allows for you to only have to set it up once and then edit it occasionally. And so the way that email automations work is you'll select your email service provider. There are many, many great businesses out there that offer email services for business owners. I recommend that you just find one that fits your needs and your budget, and then connect it to your website. And that way, when someone comes to your website, there are a couple of different things that could happen. They could sign up to receive marketing messages from you. They could make a purchase, or they could explore and potentially add things to a cart, depending on the type of business that you have. And when they take one of these actions, the technology behind the email service providers will trigger a series of emails that you have set up in advance with different rules telling it, if someone submits an opt-in, then they get this. And it's pretty straightforward once you're in those tools. But if anyone has any questions about the implementation side after I go through the 3 flows, please feel free to ask, because a lot of these service providers are all very similar. So if someone's on your website, you want them to give you their email address, because we've already talked about how valuable having that information is. But folks aren't going to just give it to you out of the goodness of their heart. You need to give them some sort of incentive. And so that could be a discount code or a downloadable resource or access to an event like today's. And when someone first gives you their email address and they're a new lead in your system, you need to have a welcome flow set up. So this is the first automated flow that you really need to have in place to ensure that you're nurturing your new leads and building a relationship with them. And so in this welcome flow, it's a series of emails that are triggered when someone submits their email and opts in to your email list. And these emails are tailored to the form used to opt in. So say your form that you have for them to opt in is offering a discount code for your e-commerce store. The email flow would reference that so it feels personalized, and so they understand that these messages are meant for them. And same thing if they accessed a downloadable resource, the content would tie back to what initially caught their eye and had them engage with your business. And so these email flows, for a welcome flow, I recommend 6 emails spaced out over a time period. So the first one would go out immediately after they submit their form and confirm their subscription. And this is where you tell them thank you, and you're so excited to have them join your list. You give them the incentive that they were promised, and you can let them know what to expect from you. So this is where you have your cadence figured out. And if you send weekly emails, you let them know that. If you send monthly emails, you let them know that. Let them know the types of content and exclusive tidbits that they can expect to receive from you via email. And then from there, we enter this awesome opportunity where you can share your story as a business owner or as a business if you're not the face of your business. And as I mentioned before, with the kind of serialized format, over the course of the next 10 to 15 days, they will get an email every day, every other day. The cadence is honestly up to you and depends on what you feel comfortable with and what your list responds to. Everyone responds differently. So this is where testing and trying out different things to see what works best comes into play. But I recommend for a welcome flow, every other day is a great place to start. So they would get their immediate welcome email after they opt in, and then 48 hours later, they'd get an email where you can introduce yourself, tell them a bit about why you started your business, your passion behind it, the differentiators that make your business unique. And then 48 hours later, they'll get another email that can share even more. So it can share your mission statement and educational content. And in this welcome flow, you want to show your new subscriber the value of your business and the value of being on this list. So in this email flow, you don't want to immediately start trying to sell them. You're warming them up to you as a person and to your business. And a great way to provide value is by sharing resources and information. And the resources don't have to be created by you. So if you're sitting here thinking, oh, I don't have time to create a bunch of content to share, that's fine. Having book recommendations or articles that you've read that tie back to your business and to what they've expressed interest in will show you as an expert in this field, because we're all constantly learning, and that's what makes us experts in our field. And even if you're an e-commerce store, I think that for service providers, it often is a lot easier to draw in these types of resources. But even if you are an e-commerce store and you're selling apparel or houseware, you can draw inspiration and say, you know, these are the fashion designers that I'm really inspired by this year, or something like that, to share a bit about yourself and a bit about the driving force behind your business. And so throughout these like 4 to 6 emails that you send every other day, you will eventually lead up to sharing a offer for them. And this is where you can begin to monetize your list, which is the ultimate goal, right? As business owners, we are in it to make money as well as to share our gifts with others. And so in leading up to this offer, you'll want to share testimonials and case studies, client success stories, proof points that show this new subscriber why what you sell is valuable. And then at the end the final email that they'll get in this flow is an offer that you create and decide upon. And what I typically recommend is that it is at a slight discount, or it's something that's not currently available on your site to add to that feeling of exclusivity. And that's the essence of the welcome nurture flow. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, great. So then I'm going to go on to talk more about the second flow that is one of the core automations you should have in place for your business. And that is the post-purchase engagement. And now, whether you are a service provider or a e-commerce store, after someone has chosen to invest in your business, they have parted with their hard-earned money to appreciate what it is that you're offering, you want to make sure that you nurture them beyond that point. And the reason this is so important is because most businesses earn a large chunk of their revenue from repeat clientele. So getting a new subscriber, getting a new client or customer is incredible, but if they don't come back to you, then they aren't as valuable as someone who does. And so after someone makes a purchase, you want to continue building your relationship with them. You'll see there's a theme. It all comes back to relationship building. So someone's purchased something, hooray, it's very exciting. And after they do this, you will have a flow that is set up to trigger after they get their confirmation email with the details of their purchase, or if you're a service provider, it's after the contract has signed. Whatever your systems are that you have in place, you'll have them set up to speak to each other so that after that action has been taken, this series of emails will go out. And here, again, you're going to say thank you, and you're going to give a little bit of background on you and your business and let them know maybe the backstory of what they just purchased. So say what they got is your flagship product. You could tell the story of how it came to be and help draw in that emotional connection in that original thank you email. And for an e-commerce store, so if you're selling apparel or physical products, the second email could be about usage recommendations and care guidance, content to help them make the most of what they just bought. And you can tweak that and use that same concept for service-based businesses as well, giving them insight into how to best utilize what it is that they just purchased from you. And then throughout the flow, again, I would recommend 4 to 6 emails. All of these, that's kind of the sweet spot. And I would offer assistance at some point during the flow. So after you've sent them information about their usage and care or how to make the most of their purchase, ask them if they have any questions. Encourage a back and forth conversation. Because then if they do have a question, you're able to help them and make them a happy customer rather than someone who's frustrated because they weren't able to best utilize what they had just purchased. And then after a good amount of time, so I would say that this email goes out roughly 2 weeks after purchase, depending on what it is, but you're going to want to reach out and ask for a testimonial or a rating. And And this is something that you can then utilize on your site to help add social proof of the fact that people are happy with what they purchase from you. And again, it's a way to engage with this customer and further build that relationship. And as a final email in this series, I recommend sending an accompanying offer. So this is a product or service that complements what they already bought. And this is purely dependent on what it is that you are selling. But by doing that and offering them something that works really, really well with what they've already purchased, you're encouraging them to become a repeat client or customer, and you're giving them an opportunity to return to your site and explore what you have to offer. And that is the overview of a post-purchase engagement flow. Do we have any questions? Okay, great.
Can I
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Scott.
I feel like I counted 4, maybe 5 total emails. Can I quickly read back to you what I had? You said, thank you, content to make the most of what they purchased, ask a question, like create engagement, ask for a testimonial, and then make another offer. That
Correct.
I think was 5 total. Is there, you said like typically these are 4 to 6. Is there a 6th one on this one or no?
Honestly, the number of emails in the flow is up to you and whether or not you have enough content to justify sending that number of emails. Because I always tell people, if you don't have enough to make it valuable to the person receiving it, then don't send it. It's better to send fewer that are really strong than send a bunch that are weaker. And so to answer your question, yes, there can be a 6th email. And for all of you who are taking notes and everything, this is a great reminder that if you are not currently signed up for my newsletter, please do so in order to receive everything that I'm talking about now. I have in worksheet form so that you can take it and utilize it as you're working through building these automations for yourself. And since you attended, you're gonna get it for free. It's new. I'm really excited to share it with you. So please go to my website and sign up to receive access, or drop your email in the comment below, and I will use that.
I have a question.
Sure.
The spacing. You said the first one was immediately, the second one was 48 hours later, and I forgot the last 3.
Yeah, so with the so on average for all of these flows, I would recommend every other day. The only one that I would say is important to time out, depending on shipping times, like what it is that you're selling, is asking for a review or a testimonial, because you wouldn't want that email hitting their inbox before they've had an opportunity to use or experience what they purchased.
Makes
so
sense.
That one's dependent on the timing of, what it is that you're offering and how long it would take them to experience it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Great. And then the third flow that I recommend everyone get set up is more specifically for e-commerce stores. However, a similar approach can be used for what would be called offboarding for service-based businesses. And this is the cart abandon flow. So a lot of people often will add things to their cart and then click out of your website and perhaps never return. So having the ability as an e-commerce business or any business that has an add to cart feature, being able to automatically follow up with those who abandon their carts is a really incredible way to improve your conversion rates. And how it works, again, this depends on what platforms you're using. However, the general concept is similar across all of these various platforms. So if a customer begins to check out and puts in like their name and their email address, and then they click out, that information is saved. And for a period of time, you're able to reach back out to that person. And now these names and email addresses, this flow is shorter. It's only 3 emails because they didn't opt in to your newsletter. And so there are parameters around how frequently you should be reaching out to them. And so this is a quicker flow. However, as you're setting it up in your systems, they'll have the legalities spelled out for you there. So if someone inputs their information and then abandons their cart, immediately you can set up an email to be sent to them. And again, this is only if they've already input their email. That's the only way you can capture that information. And for that first email, you're going to want to say like, hey, you forgot something, or did you really mean to leave without grabbing this? It's an opportunity where you can tell, again, the story behind the product or the importance of the product or service, why it's valuable. You'll want to emphasize the value of what it is that they didn't yet purchase. And a great way to get folks back a lot of times is to offer either like a free shipping code or a small discount code. It doesn't have to be anything huge, but maybe, you know, like 5-10% off to encourage them to come back and complete their purchase within 24 hours. And so that first email is kind of a cheeky like, hey, did you forget this? And offering a small incentive to get them to complete their purchase within 24 hours. And then if they don't do that, you will set up another email to send out 24 hours after they abandoned their cart. And in this one, what I recommend doing is saying something along the lines of, oh, if you weren't interested in that, how about this other item? And offer them a variation on the item that they had considered. And so I'm sure you've seen this on shopping sites, e-commerce stores, where they'll say like, if you're interested in this, here's this. And so in this email, you would send it out saying, oh, you know, I saw that you really liked this green mug. Did you consider the purple mug? And hopefully that will help them either decide to purchase what they originally wanted or take a look at your store and hopefully finalize that purchase potentially with another item from your shop. And then if you were to send a third email, I honestly think those 2 are good enough. But if you were to send a third email, it would go out 48 hours after they had abandoned their cart. And it would be kind of like a sorry to see you go sort of email, since you wouldn't be continuing to market to them. And in that one, you would prompt them to sign up for your email list as to not miss out on other opportunities with your business. And then that way, even if they don't complete the purchase, if they opt in, then you have the opportunity to make those additional touch points and lead them to a conversion. And that is the third, which is the cart abandon flow. So those are the 3 email series that every business should have set up, since it is such an important and easy way to have these running in the background of your business. And the incredible thing is once you've done the initial lift, the initial work to get these set up, if you write them in a way that is evergreen, meaning you don't mention holidays or dates or items that, sorry, Scott said, oh, okay. Yeah, so it's running in the background of your business, and that way you don't have to be thinking about it constantly, and it's increasing these touch points with your audience, building these relationships in the background. And that way, by the time you are interacting with these audience members in another way, they are already warmed and primed to you, and it will increase your revenue overall for your business over time. And saves you time as well. It's just one less thing to think about, which as a small business owner, I definitely know how valuable that is. And so I saw some questions in the chat potentially. RK, did you have a question? Wondering about how they get the info and what legal about reaching out. I'm not really sure what that question is, but are there some platforms better for the cart than others? It depends. It's honestly depends on what you're selling and what you want from a platform. Frankly, they're all very similar. I would pick something that works with your budget and works with what you're looking to do with your business. Well, wonderful. Any questions? Do you guys want to share any thoughts, or or we can wrap it up, get a couple minutes back?
I have a question about, so I'm going to move from my website to a Patreon page.
Okay.
And I guess the same rules will apply. I'm not sure what question I'm really asking you.
Does Patreon have like an email system built into it? I
think I saw that they have ConvertKit. Now,
Okay,
is that a I don't know. I'm still investigating ConvertKit, so I don't know all that it does.
Mm-hmm. I'm not super familiar with ConvertKit, but I do know they have an email service aspect, and I believe you can also build landing pages through them, which is a way to convert folks.
So all those things that we're able to do automatically through the website, we should be able to do through ConvertKit.
Oh yeah, it's an email marketing tool. So they definitely, these automations are honestly very simple. And so almost any website or marketing service provider will have these capabilities built in.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll add for ConvertKit, and this is probably true for all of them as well. They offer great resources for learning how to do these things. ConvertKit in particular has a lot of videos and written content on just the technical production side of these. It's also ConvertKit is designed for the solopreneur, the small creative business owner specifically. And engages in a variety of different ways. And I'm sure that's true of some of the other email platforms. I'll also say ConvertKit, that question about the shopping cart. ConvertKit offers a marketplace platform as well, so you can sell products through your email. And again, that question about how do you get someone's email address when they haven't purchased anything from you, that's just the nature of utilizing these shopping platforms. When you go to somebody's store, this is happening to you whether you know it or not. They're collecting that email information and sending you stuff. Pretty commonplace, and with that, very legal, I would say, or at least to my knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you,
I mean,
Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. That's helpful to add on. And for most, I believe that they're entering their email address as part of the checkout process, and that's how they have it. But there could be, if you have a CRM, I think there's ways to cross-reference, but that's getting more technical, and you don't have to worry about that if you don't want to. But thank you, guys. If there's no other questions,
In your follow-up, are you giving us examples of each of these flows, or can you direct us to some examples?
Yeah, I could direct you to some examples. I am providing outlines with, the various topics, the recommended cadence, and subject line ideas. So then you can write it yourself. There's a really great website called reallygoodemails.com, and they have emails from every business you can imagine, and they showcase ones that have strong click-through rates and open rates. And yeah, I can pull some examples. It's also, if you want to see how competitors are utilizing these types of flows, go and sign up for someone's newsletter and see how they're doing it. There's a lot you can do with email. This is just like a sliver of all of the capabilities and recommendations that there are to optimize using email for your business. But this is where I recommend people start, because it does save time, and it's something you can do once and then only update occasionally. And then from there, once you're more comfortable with email and you've built up your list a bit, there's so much that you can do in terms of segmentation and customer journeys. And if you're interested in doing any of that, I'm your gal. So I hope to chat with you guys again about email sometime. It's a great tool, and if you guys have any questions as you're writing out your flows, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to follow up and answer questions for you guys.